Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3, back with another kicking movie reaction review. Today we're doing another Godzilla film. You guys know that Godzilla is one of the things I based the main channel around. Without Godzilla, I wouldn't be the person I am today. It is my favorite franchise of all time. My favorite film of all time is a Godzilla film. Actually, two of my favorite films of all time are Godzilla films, and the franchise as a whole shapes the entirety of my life. And that is true. That being said, I do like to space out my reviews of Godzilla movies, try to make them last, you know? The only ones that I kind of reviewed together were the anime ones, just because they kind of came out, boom, boom, boom. But today we are reviewing Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which is the sequel to Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. So, this is from the Millennium series, which was from kind of like 1999 to 2004. Which was the third Godzilla series. This is the one that was kind of happening the most during my childhood. So I really grew up on the Showa ones and the Millennium ones, but a lot of the Heisei ones I didn't really get until I was like in high school or an adult. So yeah, I remember when this film first came out in the States in 2004. I have the 50th anniversary version, which is actually worth a lot of money now, believe it or not. Those 50th anniversary DVDs bring in the bucks. But yeah, first time I ever watched it was in Japanese, but after that I've watched it all in English, so I have seen both. The dub is okay. I feel like Godzilla movies now are dubbed much better. The Shin Godzilla dub is pretty excellent. It's really good. I think that's just because now there's more respect for Godzilla in the States, so... And Funimation did it. Funimation's got respect for the Japanese cinema, for sure. But yeah, the way the Millennium series worked is each one was a sequel to the original 1954 Gojira. And that's how they all worked. Godzilla 2000, none of the other films that came out before it happened except Gojira. Same thing with Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, and same with Godzilla against Megaguirus. That being said, Godzilla against Megaguirus does retcon the ending of the original Gojira, so that Godzilla was not killed by the oxygen destroyer. He just stayed alive and kind of appeared a few times throughout history, modern history that is. And then we had Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, which was the same thing, a sequel to Gojira. And then this was the first sequel to a Millennium era film. The whole thing the Millennium era wanted to try to do was they were just making sequels to Gojira, and whichever one they thought was really popular would kind of start a series, but then that just didn't work out, and they just kind of just made them a bunch of different Elseworld sequels. But this one, even though it's only in continuity with one Godzilla film, is in continuity with a lot of other Toho films like Mothra, War of the Gargantuas, etc. All those kind of side films, like from the Showa era. It's in continuity with a lot of those. Wikizilla did a great video on like the kind of Kiru timeline. I highly recommend checking that out. But yeah, this was the one sequel to a Millennium era film. And it's pretty cool. I am going to read you the back of my DVD here real quick. Mechagodzilla, the superior armed, state-of-the-art, all-robot version of Godzilla, is undergoing repairs after his devastating battle against the world's monsters. A pair of psychic fairies appear and warn scientists to stop rebuilding Mechagodzilla. But their warning goes unheeded. As the great robot nears completion, a series of mysterious incidents rock the world and awaken Godzilla, who unleashes a reign of terror against Tokyo. Mothra joins him, and Japan's desperate prime minister has no choice but to launch the unfinished Mechagodzilla against Mothra and Godzilla. But who will fight for whom? And in the end, will the survivor be monster, robot, or man? And this is a very good film. It's a very good film. I feel like it's maybe a little underrated, actually. And it's pretty popular in the Godzilla community, and I still think it's underrated. It is from Toho, like most Godzilla movies, of course. It's starring, I'm sorry about this, Noboru Kaneko, Mio Yoshioka, Mitsuki Koga, etc. Special effects by Ichi Asada. Music by Michiru Oshima. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Produced by Shogo Toyama. Got that one. The screenplay by Mashiro Yokotani and Masaki Tezuka. Okay, so now I'm getting them. And directed by Masaki Tezuka as well. It's from 2003, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think the dub is fine, once again. I feel like more stuff from overseas should be dubbed, and I don't want a bunch of people in the comments to be like, oh, but the subs are better. Yeah, but some people with disabilities have trouble with subs. I have a friend who is a huge weeb. Like, she loves anime, but she has a condition where reading is difficult for her. Always has been and always will be. So she has to wait till something's dubbed, and if an anime doesn't get dubbed, she doesn't get to watch it. And it sucks. And I feel like we should be doing the same for a lot of these films, you know? I mean, this is dubbed, luckily. I don't think there's going to ever be a, theatrical Godzilla film that doesn't get dubbed. But, yeah, because I have a disability that makes subtitles difficult. I can do it, but I can't, binge a show that has subtitles. I can finish a movie with subtitles relatively easily. But a show with subtitles like Kamen Rider Super Sentai, that's very difficult, especially when they're 50 episodes. Lots of those shows don't need to be that long. Rant over. But yeah, Tokyo SOS was the last good movie of the Millennium series, in my opinion, and the next to last movie in the Millennium series. It's got sci-fi, it's got a little fantasy. So the Mothra Fairies show up, and they're like, hey, you guys should put Kiru, who's my favorite Mechagodzilla, by the way, back in the ocean. Because if you saw the first film, you know that Kiru is a robot built around the skeleton of the original Godzilla and uses these fancy DNA computers to help it fight. And so the original Godzilla is inside this Mechagodzilla. And all it wants to do is rest. Its soul is trapped inside Mechagodzilla. It just wants to go back to sleep at the bottom of the ocean in peace. It doesn't want to fight. And the Mothra Fairies are like, you're kind of throwing off the balance here. If you don't get rid of Mechagodzilla, Mothra's going to have to. And that's going to be bad. But then Godzilla shows up, and Mothra, of course, ends up helping, fight. It's got the whole, two Mothra larvae hatched from one egg thing. I feel like when two Mothra larvae hatched from the egg in the original, Mothra vs. Godzilla, or Godzilla vs. the Thing, depends on where you're from. That was kind of cool, because it was like, we only ever saw one in the first, in the solo Mothra film, so this is very interesting. But, pretty much every Godzilla film since then almost always has two. And it's kind of like, okay, it's not a surprise, we expect it now. So it's kind of like, it doesn't matter anymore. It's not something interesting anymore. It just exists. And there are some complaints I have, spoilers, big spoilers, by the way. Mothra goes out like a chump, kind of. Mothra does that in a lot of Godzilla movies. That was kind of one thing I respected about King of the Monsters 2019, is that Mothra kicked Rodan's butt. It was a good fight. It wasn't one-sided. And then Mothra prevailed. And then Ghidorah destroying her makes sense because she was already weakened, and she was kind of doing her best to protect Godzilla and willing to sacrifice her life for him anyway, so she went into that kind of knowing that's what was going to go down. And Mothra did intentionally sacrifice herself in this. But I mean, for once it'd just be nice to see an adult Mothra survive a Godzilla film, Godzilla is kind of defeated in almost the same exact way he was back in 1964 in the original Mothra vs. Godzilla. The two larvae just kind of sneak around him and spray him, but instead of him falling into the ocean because he's struggling, he falls into the ocean because Kiru, the Mechagodzilla, picks him up and flies him into the ocean. But then it's kind of more settled because Kiru kind of holds him in place. Kiru kind of becomes Godzilla's prison As it failed to kill him. And Kiru and Godzilla do both get design changes in the film. Kiru takes on what is called the heavy arms version. He loses... excuse me. He loses like all the blue jetpacky stuff, and he gets like a bigger, more heavy-duty one that matches the rest of his coloration, and he gets these big things on his arms. And he doesn't have the Absolute Zero cannon because it was destroyed, and they couldn't get the diamond big enough they needed to fix it. So he just has like a big triple maser cannon in his chest for this film instead. And then Godzilla's design is functionally the same, but he has a really cool giant scar on his chest. I think I prefer the heavy arms Kiru to the original Kiru. And I definitely prefer this Godzilla as well. The scar is a very unique look on him. So not only is this my favorite Mechagodzilla design and my favorite Mechagodzilla, but it's one of my favorite Godzilla designs as well. My Godzilla designs for the longest time kind of swapped between my favorite ones. Kind of honestly swapped between the 2003 and the GMK one a lot, and it kind of just depended on my mood which one was my favorite. And then, you know, Shin Godzilla happened, and now Shin Godzilla 4th form is my favorite. I'm unashamed of that. It's a dope look. And so is this one. The one you're looking at now is 2004 Final Wars, by the way. But Godzilla Tokyo SOS is a pretty good film. I do think it's underrated. It's the only real sequel of the Millennium films. And I do recommend it if you can get your hands on it. I think you can get it for a good, fair price. Very affordable in like a 2-pack or a multi-pack is how you can really get the Millennium films these days. You have to get them in 2-packs or multi-packs. And I don't call... A multi-pack to me is like 4 or more. 2-pack, 3-pack, multi-pack. Is how I kind of define those. But yeah, that's how you have to get this film these days. Getting it as a single DVD in the States is... It's going to cost you a lot to get this 50th anniversary one. But it doesn't have a Blu-ray option for that anyways, because Blu-ray didn't exist yet. Back in the day. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. And we'll have more Godzilla goodness coming at you soon. I'm sure we will. So that's it. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all next time.